When you talk about manifesting, you could talk about lots of different things that you want, that you dream of, that you fantasize with, but I fantasize about cookies. So I've decided to grab Liat and get her to talk about my problem because I'm the host. Thanks for coming, Liat, to the How to Be You show.
Thank you for having me here.
So you are a specialist in manifesting. How cool is that? You are a master manifester. That is so sexy. Your Tinder must be flying off the charts. No?
I actually believe we all are. We'll talk about this.
We all are, eh? Yeah, I would like to hear about that. Okay, we can start with that. If we all are masters of manifesting, then what's blocking us is like the first question.
Sure. So I'll start that I actually divide us into 4 sections. And the 2 big questions is whether or not we manifest consciously or unconsciously, and whether or not we manifest what we want or what we don't want. Because the way I see it, and it took me many, many years to learn this, to use it in my life and teach others. And I never thought I would teach manifestation. That was not the plan. Is that we are all manifestors and we actually don't have any options not to be. That's the essence of who we are. We were created in the reflection of the Creator, which his ability is to create, is to manifest, and we have the same ability. That's what we came here to do. We are manifestors. We are master manifestors. The thing is that sorry.
So I could have your title too. We're all master manifestors.
Exactly.
So you have to be the teacher of reminding us all that we're master manifestors.
Exactly. And when we start looking at our life as a reflection of what we manifest, we start seeing whether or not we do it consciously or unconsciously, whether or not we manifest what we want or what we don't want. But it starts with the understanding that that's who we are. We do not have any other options other than to be manifestors. Because the reality is merely a reflection of our consciousness. And the only question is, what do we have within our consciousness and how it reflects in our life? And what I teach is how to do it, obviously, consciously, start understanding how we do it, have the process of the 12 step that we'll talk about this. And how do we start connecting what we want into those steps, into those manifestations, and stop creating what we don't want and stop creating all those turbulence and hardship and different things that we don't want in our life. And the way I usually talk about this is that I was a master manifestor and I was really, really good at manifesting everything I didn't want. So that's how it started for me. And it's actually a good start, especially if you become a teacher, because when you learn how to undo something, how to stop doing what you used to do and stop creating what you don't want, you actually understand what's behind that. And that's why I can teach it now, because I had to undo it.
Okay. Well, I'm reading a book called Seth Speaks. And it's one of the most important books in talking about how our thoughts create our reality. It was in the 70s, and it's channeled from something older than time, something close to God's age, let's say. And it explains a lot of these things. So it's fascinating that I can make it applicable to, well, what I struggle with the most. Almost all areas of my life are doing pretty good, finally, after 42 years and 22 years of therapy, going well, except bread, cookies, comfort food. So if I may be selfish enough, could you help me understand how I could deal with the reason that I overeat, not that you know that, but overeat, and how I could look at that?
Sure. So as you mentioned before, I wrote a book called Lose the Diet, Lose the Weight. And again, I can, looking backward, I can say, luckily, it wasn't very lucky when I was inside all this. but I really had to deal with many issues, problems along the way. One of them was eating disorders and weight issues. And I actually lost over 20 something kilos, with more than 40 pounds. And as I say, it started, with eating. It started with diets, like any other girl, boys of today also. Not eating this, not eating that, not eating gluten, not eating all kinds of things, and sugar, and it went well, for a while, until at some point it stopped working. And then I started gaining more and more weight. It was also connected to a car accident that I've been through. But I realized that it doesn't matter what I do. I can't lose weight anymore. I was in my 20s, and with someone with already having, body image issues and things like that, starting to really gain weight without control was, to say the least, terrible. It was a horrible experience, because you lose control over your body. It doesn't matter what you do, you just gain more and more weight. And that took me to all kinds of eating disorders, bulimia, and things like that. And at the same time, I've been, I actually have a BA in economics. I have MBA in business. And because of the accident, I was looking for ways to actually deal with my back issues. I had back problems because of the accident. And after, all the modern medicine couldn't help me, I started looking on other places and alternative medicines and things like that. And what happened at this point is that I realized that there is so much we don't know. It was over 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Alternative medicine was not as common as it is today. And it was esoteric. Like, I realizing that my body can speak, that there are things that, it was a car accident. It was completely physical. I had disc hernia. You can explain what I was having physically. But then I started realizing that I'm getting better because of an inner work, because of, dealing with my emotions, dealing with my history, with my trauma, and things like that. And I said, how is it that we don't know that, this is how we work? Because, I was in my 20s, I had, my MBA. I thought I was smart. And I said, I know nothing about this. Nothing. It was completely mystery. And I was mesmerized by, the ability of our body to heal itself. And I decided, and I understood from, the place that I was at the time, that was why I've been through all of this. And that was my calling. And I decided to go and learn holistic psychotherapy and alternative medicine. And I was working with people for many years afterwards. And at that point, I started looking at my eating disorders and, my body image, my weight gain from a different perspective. And I started understanding that I'm really hurting myself with those diets, with, fighting with myself, fighting with my eating patterns, trying not to eat all kinds of things. And literally, I hated myself. Really, I hated my body. I hated how I look. I hated looking at the mirror. It was really, it was painful. I don't think we need to explain this. So many people are going through this, and we have such a distorted body image that we grow up with. And I said, nothing works. Everything that I used to do doesn't work anymore. And when I started looking through the lens of the body-mind connection, I understood that I'm doing so much damage to my soul, to my body, to my, just with this daily fight, because food, not like many other things, is something that you cannot avoid. Like you can not eat something or eat something else, but this is something that you have 24/7, at least 3, 4, 5 times a day. You have to deal with food. And every time I dealt with it, it was painful. It was painful. It was struggle. It was really hate. And at this point, I just decided, it was not from a very high perspective, but from a very desperate one, that I really need to learn to live with how I look and accept the way that my body looks like, because nothing works for no other reason than the fact that it doesn't work, and this is how I look. And I said, well, I'm in my 20s, and if this is how I look now, it probably will get worse and worse as time goes. And I made the decision to learn to accept my body. It was, again, not because I thought it was so amazing, but because I couldn't see any other option. I just, I just, nothing worked. And I said, well, this is how I look. I would probably look worse and worse as the years go by, and I'll just have to learn to live with this. And I didn't have a partner at the time. In my point of view, it was part of because I look like this, and I also, it was reflected in, in the feedback that I got from guys that went out with me, that, you look good, but you are too fat, but you are overweight. And I said, well, okay, so I'm going to be alone and I'm going to be fat, and I'll just have to learn to live with that. And it sounds painful.
I get it. Yeah.
But it was a relief, because I stopped fighting, and I started eating things that I did not eat for over a decade, my teens. And the amazing thing was that I started losing weight. Although eating more than I used to eat, although, stop all dieting, stop trying to over-exercise. And not just that I lost weight, my body changed. Like my contour actually changed. People were looking at me and said, it's not just that you're losing weight, it's just that your body looks different. The fat in your body just looks different. And that was really, for me, an amazing realization of how we, from the inside, speaking of manifesting, speaking of what, the ability of what we can create, that when we learn to live peacefully with ourselves, to learn to love our body, to learn to accept the way we look, we actually change our body. We change how we look. We change, the structure of our body. And within the years, it actually became a program, and the book that I wrote. And one of the things that I teach, and that's in the book, is that we live in 4 realms. It's the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And most of us try to change the reality or our body, losing weight or whatever that is, through the physical level. Okay, we do diets, we don't eat this, we don't eat that, we count calories, we try to change it from the physical level. Yeah. And as much as it may work sometimes, it's very limited. It's very limited. And if in the emotional level and the mental level and the spiritual level, there are other things, there are other beliefs, today I call it vibration, then it doesn't matter what I do physically, what I, eat or don't eat, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And we work with the lowest level, which is the physical one. And what I teach in the book and what I teach today as I teach manifestation is that we have to align all 4 levels to the vibration of what we want to create. And if I'll talk about, body image and weight, at the end of the day, why do we want to lose weight? Because we want to love ourselves, right? We want to feel comfortable. We want to love our body. That's the vibration of what we want to feel and why we want to lose weight. Yeah. And when we diet, what happens? The exact opposite. Okay. We are in the vibration of hate, of fight, of dislike, of, and this is what we create. We create more of what we don't like, more of what we hate, more of what we are ashamed of. Okay? And it's not aligned to the actual manifestation, to the actual solution or result that we try to create.
So great.
And what happened to me, again, it was not consciously, but afterwards I could understand that, is that I went to the core essence of what I wanted to lose weight, which is to love myself and accept my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I aligned my vibration, emotional, physically, mentally, to this by learning to accept my body, by learning to love myself. And the amazing thing is that the physical level started reflecting this in the weight loss.
Wow. It makes total sense. We all try and we want that, but then if the other three levels are going in the other direction, they're much more powerful. It's just self-hate. So almost all of us on diets, we hate ourselves. And every time we eat something we're not supposed to, we hate ourselves more. So the body's like, hate, 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 hate.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you create more of what you hate, which is more, weight gain, more fat.
I hate my weight. I have to be like, I love my weight. I love my weight. So
And it may sound, and I understand this completely because I was there. It may sound like, off, like how can I love myself when I look like this, or, but there are things that we do love. Okay. And for me, it was changing my clothes. I was, wearing really dark clothes, black clothes. And I was looking at my closet. Everything was dark and black. And it was buying colorful clothes and looking at the mirror and asking myself, okay, what do I like about myself? Is it my eyes? Is it my nose? Is something that I can really feel different? And what happens, one of the sentences that I really like, and it's actually on my phone, is where your focus goes, energy flows. And what do? We look at the mirror and we look at the cellulite and what we don't like and where we don't like our body and this and that. And what I trained myself was to look at the mirror and to find the things that I do like. And find more and more things that we do like, because you're a beautiful woman. I don't see that you have extra weight. You feel that, you see this is all you see. Okay. But I don't see this. Okay. I see a beautiful, successful woman, a smart one. I don't see this. This isn't just in your eyes. Okay. And I'm sure that there are things within you that you can look and say, okay, this I like. This is something that I do appreciate or love within me.
The accepting of it, some people, you do have to. So I've struggled my whole life because I'm too tall. Like you can't say it on camera, but I'm very tall. I hate it. I hate my hands, hate my feet. You can't change your hands. You can't change your feet. Those are really things, you can get a nose job, right? You can like change your teeth. So is it about accepting? I do Psych K. Do you know Psych K?
No.
It's about switching the what you tell yourself subconsciously, and it's changed. I'm like so almost at the point of liking myself that like I'm just so freaking close. So this is really useful. Is it saying to yourself like, I love my hands, or is it saying I accept I don't have the hands that I wish I would have had?
So the way I see it, and something that I do teach, is part of, one of the things that we were taught with, all this new age and is like positive thinking, as, I do like, or I don't like, or more and more. And what happens, we cannot fake it. Okay. And we cannot work on ourselves. Like we cannot lie to ourselves. We can lie to everybody else, but we cannot lie to ourselves. Okay. And if I say something that I don't believe in, it doesn't work. What happens is that if I repeat a certain sentence that within me, I don't believe in it, I actually reinforce the opposite. Okay. If I tell myself every day in every way, I get, slimmer and slimmer, I get, I lose weight, and I don't lose weight. What happens is that every time I say this sentence, my mind says, who are you kidding? Like, are you fucking with me? Like it's not true. Okay. You're gaining weight. If anything, you're just getting more and more fat. So we cannot trick ourselves. Okay. And so the ways to find something that I do believe in. Okay. If something within me, like my hands, or I'm told to, by the way, I'm 5'8". So I understand that this is, again, something that we learn how to not take too much space, too much place, especially as women. We need to be skinny and tiny and all this BS.
Yeah.
And it's part of, no, I'm an impressive woman. Okay. When I get into a room, and by the way, the fact that we're tall, we don't look as fat as we think. It's again in our mind, because it's just, so it's like, I have a presence. Okay. And the thing is finding something that I do believe in. Okay. Something that I can relate to. I'm sure there are things within you that you do like, but appreciate within yourself, or, you're doing this, you're here working with people, you do things that many people can't. Okay. Standing in front of the camera and all of that. So there are things that you do feel different about. So the trick is to focus on that. And what happens is that even if you find something small, so-called, to focus on, it will get more and more, because it will just, again, as if I look at something that I don't like, I will see more things that I don't like. If I look at something that I do appreciate, I'll see more of that.
Okay. So if it's like the hands, I stop thinking about my hands, and instead I say, God, I love how funny you are when you go on stage. Like, I don't even think about my hands anymore, because I can't lie to myself and say I like my hands. I will never like my hands. So it's just off the brain energy. It's just gone. And I'm just like, I focus on something else. I love the teeth that you have. You make people happy when you smile. Focus on the teeth, woman. It's just a shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you shift the self-hate sentences. You don't permit them, and you hear them, and then you focus on something that you do like, and then that grows. And when the self-hate comes up again, you just say, nope, not right now. I'm focusing on what I like. It's just like a keep reminding of it.
Exactly. And more than that, sometimes, especially if we're in a spiral of self-hate, it's hard for us to even find a little something that we like. So sometimes I say just neutral, just not focusing on the bad is good enough. If I can't go into the positive, I can't go into self-love right now, just not feeding the beast, feeding the hate, feeding all of this is so much. Gotcha. Because it's just stopping this train from going this way and just going for neutral for a while. And so if you can't even go there, just don't build up on this hate and because our mind is associated, right? So it brings more and more associations of what I don't like, of what I hate, of what I'm not enough. It's the hand and the leg and okay, so just neutral. Neutral is so powerful. That's, by the way, what mindfulness and meditation does. Just takes us into neutral mode. So that's good enough. Sometimes that's what we can do, and that's good enough. Not just stop feeding the beast.
Literally.
No, not literally. You're amazing. I do not allow you to speak this to yourself.
Okay. This is fascinating. This is great. Of course, I kind of know all of these things to some degree because of the self-development stuff, but to hear it with weight and accepting yourself. So at this stage when you were in your 20s, were you like, I am fat, men don't want to be with me, I will be alone forever, I'm going to go enjoy my life, and I like my eyes, and I like where I live, and I'm a good singer, I'm going to be alone forever, but I like to sing. Like, is that how you kind of focused on it?
I'm not a good singer. But yes. The thing is that, we learn that we need to fight. Like, we need to become better. We need to work on our weaknesses. We learn so much of this that just being is like, oh my God, it's life-changing. Just this is who I am. I do good things. I have good friends. I love what I do. I have, my house that I appreciate, and I focus on that. And I just say, well, it wasn't easy. Okay. It wasn't like, I woke up one day and everything was blossom and pink and beautiful. No, it's a process, because our mind is used to go to all those places. But it was, I think, for me, realizing how useless it was, because I'm very logic person, and it just, you just look at something and say it just doesn't make sense anymore. I can't keep doing the same things over and over again. And as Einstein said, this is, what insanity is. I can't do over and over the same thing. That doesn't work. I need to do something else. And every time I went to this way, I said, I'm miserable there. It's me feeling my own misery. No one else. It's not the ways. It's not the guys that I dated. It's not. It's just me. It's me. And I'm the only person I will have to live with, the rest of my life. And I cannot be my worst enemy. It just doesn't make sense. And we are worst enemy. We don't allow anyone to talk to us the way we talk to ourselves. It's terrible. It's terrible. So for me, it was over and over and over again. It wasn't like there were no bad days and lows, and of course there were, but it was so strong that it really, to the point that I really didn't see much use of going on like this. Like, what's the point? What's the point of living like this with so much suffering? So I said, well, it's really, I felt like there are no other options. It's live or die, like really, to this extent, because what's the point of just waking up every day and making myself miserable? So it really was like the mission, and every time I moved from that, it just came back and said, no, I'm not allowing myself to go to this, downhill. It's too much pain, So yes, it's, as you said, it's not new. It's not something we're not aware of. I think what helps me today, and as I teach this, is the understanding of the impact of how strong it is, the vibration that we hold. Because one of the problems is there's still in the back of our minds, since we are logic people and we're used to change things physically. One of the hardest thing for me to explain to people is to stop doing what they used to do, even if it's not working anymore. But it means that I'm going to eat whatever I want, but then I'll gain weight, right? That's how it works. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And it's just so hard for us to understand there's actual impact to the vibration of our thoughts, of our beliefs, of our vibration in our physical reality, and stop doing this thing that we keep doing over and over again and creating more results. So that's the hardest thing. And the more you practice this, and as I said, you see the reflection of the vibration, how it really creates reality. I always say that, if we knew how powerful, our thoughts and emotions and vibration is, we wouldn't allow ourselves to hold anything that we don't want in our conscious, because we knew, just how powerful we are.
Yeah. I'm thinking when I eat bread, like I'm going to make bread today and I love bread with butter, and every bite I take, I love it. And then I hate myself in the same bite. I'm going to eat it anyway. I'm not going to eat it. So I'm like, I'm going to start today with the bread and be like, I love myself. And that's why I'm eating this. And I know it, but it's like, it's just a habit. I love it and I hate myself. I love it and I hate myself. Afterwards, I hate myself, but I really enjoyed it. I want to do it again tomorrow. It's just an old 42-year cycle of self-hate that they teach us to not deal with reality, right? So accepting, they say you teach what you're supposed to learn, right? And I'm like, be yourself, how2beyou.com, How2beyou Events, retreats with women, right? And because I've struggled my whole life to accept that I'm big, I'm going to cry now, but it's like, there's still work to be done. And so I'm really inspired because I'm at that point in my life now that I met you, and I went to a shaman a couple of weeks ago. And it's like, if we knew how powerful the planes were, we would not allow any of that, any self-hate, right? So I think it's just settling down, realizing how powerful it is, and changing the habits, which with your book, with your coaching, you obviously are an expert in helping women do that. So it's doable. We don't have to suffer, right?
And exactly as the example that you gave, you eat the bread anyway.
Yeah.
So enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Really, just enjoy it and eat it in the indulgence of I'm making myself bread and I'm eating this, and every molecule that I put in my body is just pure love. Pure love. It's just how I love myself enough to give myself something that I enjoy. It's a shift, and you know what? It's really, if you do this 3 days, 7 days, that's it. They say we need 21 days, 90 days, 3 days of just stop this hate. You wouldn't understand how fast you learn habits. Really, just eat this. And I'm so, I love myself so much that I make myself this beautiful bread and tasty, and I can smell the bread and I can enjoy it because I deserve this. And this is, what gets into your body. And when I was in high school, I did a work on anorexia, and they had a research, and they saw that anorexic girls, that they eat cucumber and they think it makes them fat, and it's actually their body takes more calories and more sugar from the cucumbers just because they believe it makes them fat. So, and it goes the other way as well. Okay, I can eat this bread and enjoy it and lose weight with this. But there was that, in the 90s, there was actually a diet that was eating bread.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's how powerful our body really is, and we can, our body can literally change the way it intake food, and according to our vibration and how we feel when we eat. So enjoy it, really. That's part of the things that I teach. Just eat, sit with this plate, have a fancy table, look at this. And I love myself so much that I allow myself to just enjoy this. And the beautiful thing is that when you enjoy something, you don't need to eat as much as you do when you eat when you hate yourself, right? Because I enjoy it and I hate myself, so I hate myself, so I need to eat more. And okay, it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah, the hate. Thank you for admitting and reassuring me that women, we do hate ourselves when we eat these bad things, and that it's normal, and that it's a shift. It's not like we have to. I always feel ashamed of, like, oh my God, I hate myself when I eat these things. I hate myself when I don't exercise. And it's like, a lot of women do it, and I want to say almost all of them, but if you admit it out loud, it's almost like she doesn't love herself. Wow. And I'm like, well, it's hard, and the whole system is against us. So thank you for giving me permission to acknowledge that's what I've been dealing with. And to all the other women listening, we know how you feel. And it doesn't have to be that way. And there's a system against us, and it doesn't have to be that way, right? We can be nice to ourselves. Even society says we should hate ourselves.
We have to be, I like to say we need to be our, greatest cheerleader, and just, have a fist within our mind of, we're great. We're one. We do so many things. We deal with so many things. We were supposed to be the ones celebrated and love our beautiful bodies. That it's really amazing. It's the most miraculous machine in this world. And I am like this. No, it's just tired. And it's within us to change this. Really, I celebrate you for sharing this and saying this, because, as you say, so many women are ashamed of talking about this. And I feel, again, talking of vibration, the vibration of shame is so strong. It's one of the lowest vibration. Shame and guilt are the lowest vibration that we hold. And when, that's what we feel when we eat, is shame and guilt. And it creates such, really painful reality as manifestors, as master manifestors. So, and it's dead end. like, I see emotions as energy in motion. Like, it's part of being human, having all different emotions. But shame and guilt are stuck emotions. Like, they don't go anywhere. When you're angry, like, you can fight, you can yell, you can do something. And anger is useful. If somebody hurts me, I need to be angry to push them away.
Yeah.
But shame and guilt, it's like, it's the collapsing of our entire self. It brings us nowhere. It creates no move in our lives, because we just, we close ourselves and we hate ourselves. That's the essence of shame and guilt. So it's really useless. I don't say this about, all emotions, and emotions are important, but this is something that we were taught within our, as you said, in our, our culture, especially women. I'm too tall. Okay. So I'm ashamed of this. I eat too much. I feel guilty. And it's something that we were taught. A baby is never, it can be, mad, it can be sad, it can be afraid, but they don't feel shame and guilt. Okay. It's not part of our natural system. It's something that we were taught. So if we were taught something, we can undo it and unlearn it, if we choose to. And it's useless, really. It brings us nowhere. And talking about this, I can say about myself that starting, back then, when I was start talking about my eating disorders and writing the book and helping people, it was really, really one of the things that helped me healed, because I stopped being so ashamed of, my eating disorder. Not something that you tell everybody, okay, I'm bulimic and I do this and that. It's not something that you are, brag about, and it's putting it out there. And accepting myself, that was part of, accepting who I was, is life-changing. And I have to say this, because I feel for you and all the women that we are going through this. When I was at that time, if you were told me that, I would get to a point that I would have a skinny girl mind, that I wouldn't think about food, I wouldn't think about what I eat and how much calories I have, I would tell you, I may lose or not lose weight, but this will never happen. Like, I'm thinking about food 24/7. I eat something and I think about the next meal and what I'm going to eat tomorrow, and I'm so occupied of what's in the drawer and then in the kitchen, and I need to eat this. And and today I don't believe that we have like this fat head. Some of the things, that they teach people, like you're an addict. Like, if you aren't addict to food, you will always be. And like an addict, you'll have to avoid. As I said, we cannot avoid food. And I can say, for me, the greatest change was not losing the weight and keeping it for over 20 years and with kids and all. It was making eating and food a non-issue in my life. And it can happen. And like, I felt this is a message that I really like to, give to you and all the women going through this. It's possible. It's possible. It's just, it's just a subconscious and all kinds of neurons running, and making us with those habits and beliefs and all of that. But we can change this. We can change this. And for me, food is a non-issue, and more than everything, it's life-changing, especially for someone who had, eating disorders and body image and all of that. So it can be done. It really can be done.
I believe you. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your inspiration. It's really, really important. And I'm running a women's retreat for women who have a message to share. And it's like what you're the perfect example of it. It's like, this can't not be told, because if 98% of women suffer from this, it's like not talking about menopause. It's like not talking about racism. Like, we have to talk about these things. And so this is like the calling for you, the 12 steps of manifestation. For me, it's accepting yourself. For other women, it's blah, blah, blah. So I really appreciate that. It's in line with, I'm like, we have to be vulnerable and we have to say, I had an eating disorder. I hated myself. If we don't, we're just a bunch of talking heads trying to sell crap and like the perfection, the perfection. It's like we're hurting this is just a rant. When we, as coaches and trainers and speakers, we show like perfection, we're hurting our clients even more so. It's like without the vulnerability, it's worse. These women are hurting us more. So women who admit who they are and what they're doing are like breath of like butter on my bread. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. And we're all going through this. Like we all have our paths. We all have, what we need to deal with. And it doesn't matter how much we dealt with things, we still have things to deal with. And, when I teach in my podcast and everything, I always, I bring both sides. I am created and I have created an amazing life, but I still struggle with all kinds of things. And for me, just being honest, because this is what we came here to do. We're going through, our lives and we deal with this. And that's, that's the essence of living here. And I feel that when, it's really helpful for obviously other women that we share this and you and me are talking openly about this, but it's also, healing for us. It's also, again, just letting go of the shame and the guilt of not being perfect, of dealing with this and just saying, this is who I am. For good and bad, I have good things, I have others, I have things that I'm not proud of. And just part of who we are. And it's really, it's healing.
Yeah. Huh. Thank you for going over time with me. I appreciate your time and your podcast. This is on LinkedIn Live. So pop in how people can follow you and how women can be inspired by you.
Thank you. I'm currently, my podcast is in Hebrew. I'm actually working on translating and bringing more material in English. That's kind of my plan for 2025, but you can definitely follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram, and more to come.
What are you on Instagram? What's your name on Instagram?
I'm not sure. I think it's Masters Creating Your Reality. But we can start with LinkedIn, and then we'll put in the link there as well.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
Take care.